AITA for demanding my husband to replace all the books he threw away? IF 31 am a reader. Used to read a lot in my Tiang years as an escape method from many of my problems and recently got back to reading. I read classic books since this category is my fav. I spend time and effort visiting libraries and online shops to collect books. Thing is, my husband M33 hates it when I read. We've just returned from honeymoon 2 months ago and he's been complaining about books taking our special time away, specifically at night, but I like to think that I'm balancing with my reading time. He has started calling me grandma or say I remind him of an old lady neighbor to get me to quit reading, but it didn't budge me. A week ago, I found out that he's given my book collection away and I was devastated after he defended himself, saying he did this for my own good and for the sake of our marriage since I seem to forget my priorities. I flipped out, yelled at him that those books were hard to get and demanded he pay me and replace them right then, but he said that I really should invest my time in an outdoor hobby we could both do, but I was having none of it and demanded he replace the books. I gave him a list of every name of every book and when he saw it he laughed and asked if I was really still thinking about those books and suggested I move on, but I yelled at him telling him he has a week to replace them and that was it. He's trying to get me to let it go and had others say it was childish of me to start a fight over some books while the library is open, but they got no comment from me. AITA for expecting him to replace the books? Edit ~hi first of all, typos. Apologies for that. And, wow. I just got home and saw this. Oh my god. I'm overwhelmed by the comments here and I won't be responding to all of them, but I just read a few and will answer some questions in bullet points form. Okay. Yes, my husband knew about my love for reading, but like I said, it's been long time since I've read a book. I've read stuff online here and there, and so this is recent. I confess that my husband did express that he felt neglected, ignored by me when I'm reading, but I didn't think his concerns were legit. What do I plan on doing if he kept stalling and didn't replace the books in a week? I've already told him what I'd do now. I've given him extra days, which pissed him off more. And finally, am I married to Gaston? No comment on that. Lol. NTA. Time to get an annulment or divorce. He seems very controlling and it will only get worse. NTA TBH, I would divorce right away if my partner did something like this. Just throwing away something your partner enjoys, and that is actually a healthy hobby, is just plain toxic and abusive. NTA. Throw the husband away and replace him with more books. NTA. This was a power move, trying to assert control and completely jumping over boundaries. It's worrying that he did this just 2-3 months after you got married. Even if this was the only red flag and outside of this he is a wonderful human being, it's not tolerable and he shouldn't be allowed to think that it's no big deal. Do not back down and he needs to understand why what he did is unacceptable. He is the one who started a fight over books, and also the one who escalated it. You standing up for yourself isn't starting a fight. He may need some sort of counseling. I do not recommend couples counseling just yet, mostly because we don't know if there are more red flags and there are certain relationships which do not benefit from couples counseling. Edit because of a lot of people seem to not be understanding this paragraph. Couples counseling is not recommended in situations where there might be abuse. We don't know if that is the case, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So I'm recommending opt to not go into couples counseling considering the red flags he is showing. She might choose to get divorced or separated, which might be the safest choice, but she might not, so she also needs to know what to do and what to avoid if she decides to stay in this relationship. *and #X200B. You seem to be doing well defending your boundaries and respecting yourself. Do not feel like an asshole for that. Info. Is your husband named Gaston? We've just returned from honeymoon 2 months ago and he's been complaining about books taking our special time away. You've only been married 2 to 3 months, and he's trying to prevent you from reading? What an asshole. NTA he has started calling me grandma or say I remind him of an old lady neighbor to get me to quit reading. He's given my book collection away and I was devastated after he defended himself, saying he did this for my own good and for the sake of our marriage since I seem to forget my priorities. Mocking you is bad enough, but he's trying to isolate you from a healthy, enjoyable hobby as well. He said that I really should invest my time into an outdoor hobby we could both do and trying to mold you into a different person. This is so controlling. I gave him a list of every name of every book and when he saw it he laughed and asked if I was still really thinking about those books and suggested I move on, and trying to belittle you over the damage he dealt to you? I very rarely say this, but I think you need a divorce. This is someone you're supposed to be able to love and trust. I'm assuming he didn't, outwardly, have a problem with you reading prior to marriage. He seems to think he's allowed to belittle and control you, dispose of your property and ignore the effect it has on you. This is an abusive man, and it isn't worth trying to change him. He changed rapidly from before you got married, I assume, and thinks you're his to manipulate. Get out of there, get a divorce, annulment, and replace the books when you're away from him. This sounds like a sign of things to come, rather than the worst he's going to be. NTA. He is controlling, and to be honest, your story scares me. Your husband stole your stuff for the sake of your marriage? Were there no location flag before the wedding? NTA. NTA. You have been married for 8 weeks and he has gotten rid of something this important to you? Run. I have a library, books saved me from an awful childhood. Heaven help the man who touches my books. Removed. NTA. This is abusive. You need to move on, away from him. There was a post a long while back that goes about someone's mother that collected coffee mugs and how her father always got super mad whenever the mom brought home a new one, and the huge difference her mother's new boyfriend was because he built the mom a display closet thing to put them in just because he loves her and it made her happy. Don't settle for love, darling, because whatever it is he has for you, it isn't love. NTA. Usually I think Reddit is too quick to say leave, divorce someone. But girl, run. He's manipulative and controlling, and it's only going to get worse. No sane person would be jealous of their partner's fucking book collection, of them reading a book. Please, please, please leave this man. NTA. I am wondering how you married this person who doesn't let you have your own hobbies. Edit. My intention wasn't to victim blame, I think I was just wondering out loud as a person who hasn't experienced that before. NTA. And your story has such a big red flag on your husband, it sounds completely fake. If it, by any chance, is real, he is manipulative by calling you names for doing what you like to do, he is abusive by throwing out your things without consulting you. And this is a simple thing about just a hobby. My guess is this topic is only the beginning of a very long and arduous line of manipulation and abuse. I am sorry you only found out about it after the wedding. Be safe. NTA. This is abusive behavior. He doesn't like that you have an interest that has nothing to do with him, so he's trying to destroy it so you'll do what he wants. I'd be willing to bet this either is, or will be, part of a pattern of selfish, controlling behavior by him. Ask yourself if you want a lifetime of this, because he won't change. NTA. Never mind replacing the books, please consider replacing your husband. Getting rid of your property and not allowing you to have your own hobbies are red flags. It's not childish of you to be upset about this, but it's definitely childish of him to basically throw your things away in a tantrum. Removed. NTA. Sorry, hun. Your marriage is doomed. This is a much bigger issue than books. Get out now while you still have some self-esteem and confidence left that he hasn't sucked out of you yet. There are plenty of men out there who aren't threatened by a woman who reads or pursues hobbies outside of him.